Please be seated. Welcome, everyone. I have never seen this chapel as filled as it is today, and what a joyful, joyful day we have for President Mary Hinton. Alexandra Trower, class of 1986 and chair of the Hollins Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the board, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the inauguration of Dr. Mary Dana Hinton as our university's 13th president. To everyone who's in attendance today, and to those of you who are joining us on live stream, Hollins University is delighted that you have chosen to be part of this special day. And we are all profoundly grateful to have President Hinton lead us into the future. Now let me call on Hollins chemistry professor, Reverend Dr. Daniel Derringer. Dr. Derringer has been at Hollins for 32 years, and for 2 years served as the interim vice president for academic affairs. As a recently ordained permanent deacon in the Roman Catholic Church, he serves as a spiritual advisor to his parish's conference of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, an international organization whose mission includes building a more just world through personal relationships with and in service to people in need. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Derringer to the podium.
Let us pray. Holy mystery of love, your beauty shines forth from the rising of the sun to its setting, and your majesty is praised above the heavens. When we see the work of your hands, our hearts rejoice, and your justice brings gladness to our souls. How often, as people of diverse races, cultures, identities, and creeds, we have fallen short of your call to love one another. For this, and with great humility, we appeal to your abundant compassion and infinite mercy to sweep away our offenses. As we gather on this joyful occasion to celebrate the inauguration of Dr. Mary Dana Hinton as the 13th president of Hollins University, we offer you our gratitude for bringing to us a leader whose heart, like yours, overflows with a marvelous love, a love that rejoices in your name, a love that esteems what is right and just. We are grateful to you, and will remain ever so, for giving us a leader who is authentic, who cherishes diversity, who encourages creativity, who rewards innovation, and for whom goodwill is always on full display. Thank you for setting her feet upon a rock, for making her footsteps firm, for in doing so, the unrelenting storms of her first 2 years have been powerless to deter the work you and we have called her to do. Enjoin upon her the desire to abide by the motto of this august institution, Levavi Oculos, lift thine eyes. And as she gazes heavenward, as she raises her eyes, may she behold the full splendor of your magnificence, and may she always recognize you as the source and goodness of her life. Bless her with your insight, endow her with your wisdom, and whenever her path is troubled, grant her the grace to seek comfort in the shadow of your wings. In your kindness, also look with favor on this institution. Bless her students, her employers, her benefactors, indeed anyone and everyone who is connected with her in any way. May President Hinton's love and leadership be a model for us all. We ask these things in the name of the Great One over all the earth. Glory be to your name forever. Amen.
As we gather here today to mark this historic occasion, we also join in commemorating the lives of those whose vision, tremendous work, and sacrifices have ensured that Hollins has thrived for 180 years. I'd like to present the descendants of Hollins' founder, Charles Lewis Koch, who was a pioneer in women's education. Would the members of the Koch family who are with us today please stand up so we're able to recognize you? We know that no single person was responsible for the establishment of this institution in 1842, and we want to salute and honor those enslaved whose labor ensured Hollins' survival during its early years. We remain incredibly grateful to the members of the Hollins community, formerly known as the Oldfields community. They helped us become the institution we are today. Descendants of the Hollins community families have joined us this morning so that we may honor their ancestors, and I ask them to please stand as you are able, so that we may pay tribute to their contributions. Mary Dana Hinton today officially becomes part of an august group of remarkable women and men who have guided this institution with wisdom, compassion, intelligence, and foresight. I am pleased to announce that several of our former leaders are with us this morning to celebrate President Hinton's inauguration. And I ask, would our distinguished past presidents please stand up as I call your name? Paula Brownlee, who served from 1981 to 1990. Walter Rugaber, who served from 2001 to 2002. And Nancy Oliver Gray, who served from 2005 to 2017, and again from 2019 to 2020. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming Hollins alumni Cecilia Long, class of 1970, who will present the land acknowledgement followed by community greetings. Please note, Joseph Vinson Jr. will be bringing greetings from the Hollins staff. Cecilia?
It is my honor indeed to read the land acknowledgement. A land acknowledgement is a statement that recognizes a place where indigenous peoples have lived historically and continue to live today. It calls attention to indigenous peoples' ongoing connections to a place and to the importance of confronting the often violent history that forced them from that land. It also recognizes how institutions have benefited from dispossession and settler colonialism, as well as how they can work with the tribal communities whose land they are situated on to explain this difficult history to the public. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we acknowledge the Tutelo Monacan people, as well as other indigenous peoples, whose lands on which Hollins University now resides. We recognize their historical, and ongoing connection to this land, to this water, and this air. We do this to pay respect to the Tutelo Monacan nations and to their elders past, present, and emerging. We hope to inspire greater curiosity among non-Native people about the land on which they live, to halt the erasure of Indigenous history, and to encourage support of Indigenous communities, both locally and globally. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. As the president of the Student Government Association, it is my privilege to officially welcome our 13th president, Dr. Mary Dana Hinton, to Hollins University. To be at Hollins is to be at the intersection of a myriad of support systems, constantly changing and developing, but never veering away from its core value of community. Since her appointment, President Hinton has been at the helm of this community as a powerful voice that leads with grace and cheers with fervor. Fortunately for us, President Hinton's arrival at Hollins was well-timed, as her affirming calmness and thoughtful optimism is exactly what our community needed when she joined us in August 2020. President Hinton is a president that shows up. Whether it's giving out candy on Valentine's Day in Moody, taking the first step with seniors on the front quad, or greeting and reassuring the Hollins community through videos, our president is there with us. Many of my initial interactions with her were over online platforms, and even there, her presence never failed to exude the same sense of warmth and authenticity, which is difficult to do on online platforms. During a time where it was next to impossible to truly connect with students, as a new member of the community, she successfully did so with her authenticity and true bestie vibes. I asked a few of my friends what their advice to the university's president would be. Their suggestions ranged from putting a ban on weekend assignments to eliminating finals altogether. In all seriousness, though, there was a unanimous vote for President Hinton to keep rocking those cool Hollins-themed outfits. Under your leadership, we have witnessed the emphasis on social justice and look forward to the continued commitment to inclusivity. Just as you are consistently there to catch us, please know that it works both ways, and you can lean on us as well. Your words and actions reflect your heart and its true love and affinity for this great community. We students deeply admire your unrelenting effort and strong dedication to the spirit of Hollins. Our beloved 13th president, we can't wait to see where your green and gold Converse takes us, and we are ready to continue this journey with you. We are proud to call you our university's president. You have all the love and support of Hollins students, and I'm excited to see you redefine the full potential of Hollins University. Thank you, and all the very best.
Good morning and greetings to all, and I offer a special welcome to our distinguished guests. As the chairperson of the university faculty, I am honored to have the privilege of representing the faculty at this point, at this joyous occasion. I'd like to tell you a little story about the faculty's introduction to President Hinton. The world of academia was in the midst of the great pivot of spring of 2020. We were home, struggling with technology and something called Zoom, figuring out how to restructure and deliver our courses and our lives. We were doing grocery shopping, helping our kids and other family members with homework and work, and keeping healthy. Into our midst and onto our screens came the calming presence of our new president, Mary Dana Hinton. Mary met us first virtually in our homes. She met our kids, our cats, and our barking dogs. She saw us at what were possibly our very worst moments, in our leisure wear, pajamas, with crazy hair and huge cups of coffee. I would not hazard a guess as to what it must have been like for her to have the Brady Bunch Zoom screen with our frightened, frazzled, frustrated faces peering back at her. We were in our homes, our improvised studio spaces, our home offices, our kitchens, and our back porches, and yet she was with us. The faculty met Mary with her sense of humor, her strength, and her sincere warmth and care for us, for our families, and for the work we were accomplishing. Mary was with us. She saw us, and we saw her. And yes, her very cool glasses. And now here we are on this joyous day. On behalf of the faculty of Hollins University, I am delighted to say congratulations to you on your inauguration, Mary Dana Hinton, and welcome home. Thank you.
Joseph?
Good morning, y'all. I'm going to break the ice a little bit because I'm not used to speaking to this many people. Good grief, this is crazy. Wow. Well, first of all, I wanted to add something a little bit to this note here. Mr. Williams, good morning. Thank you so much for sharing your wife with us. It's a delight to see you. Also, where's Betsy? Hi, Betsy. I want to thank Betsy. And where's she on? There you are. Now, I've got very ugly handwriting. And I want you to know that these ladies had typed this up for me, and they are so beautiful. I feel honored that your secretaries have helped me out. I'm going to take this off. Bear with me. I'm just a funny guy. Good morning, faculty, staff, and distinguished guests, friends and family. It is my pleasure to be here this morning for the inauguration of our beloved President, Mary Dana Hinton, the 13th President in our short 180 years of higher learning. My name is Joseph Owens Vinson, Jr., but you can call me Joe. I want to thank God for the privilege of speaking at this wonderful occasion. A long time ago, I was ashamed of speaking because I didn't like my voice. But the encouragement the Lord gave me to speak, I have welcomed. As of today, I can add an inauguration to many groups I have had the privilege of speaking. It is wonderful to see the sunshine in the morning, and I'm not talking about the sun in the sky. President Hinton brings the sun and with her wonderful presence. I am happy to be here to celebrate this momentous occasion. So on behalf of the staff, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here to celebrate with you today and to welcome our wonderful president, Mary Dana Hinton.
This is such a true joy. I'm so excited to be here. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, faculty. Good morning, staff, alums, students, distinguished guests. I am Antoinette Hillian from the class of 2000, current president of the Hollins Alumni Association and member of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of our 14,000 alumni and alumni of record, I am delighted to officially welcome Dr. Mary Dana Hinton as our 13th president of Hollins University. Over the past 2 years, President Hinton has fully demonstrated her commitment to her passion for Hollins, and her commitment and dedication to the success of Hollins. During her time, President Hinton has shown and made inclusion, understanding, and caring for others a priority, both for those lucky enough to live on campus, for those of us who live elsewhere but carry Hollins in our heart. And I say without exaggeration that every alum who has met President Hinton that I've spoken to, they have remarked on her warmth and her kindness and her authenticity. The Hollins community has thrived under her remarkable leadership over these past 2 years, and we are grateful for what you have done for us, and we are all looking forward to what you will continue to do. On behalf of the Hollins Alumni Association, thank you and congratulations.
Good morning. I'm Phil North, the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors representative for the Hollins District. On behalf of my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors, our new County Administrator Richard K. Wood, and county staff, I'd like to welcome everyone here in attendance to this beautiful part of Roanoke County and for this very special occasion. We take pride in our community and what it has to offer. People come to Roanoke County to work, raise a family, enjoy our outdoor amenities, and quality of life. Hollins University has contributed to the vitality of Roanoke County throughout its history as a prestigious higher education institution, recognized nationally for its academics and campus life. The university has been a strong community partner with Roanoke County on significant projects. Through a collaboration with the university in 2012, Roanoke County and Pathfinders for Greenways built the Tinker Creek Greenway. Connection through university property, which allows the students and the community to enjoy the area's greenway system. It's a 2.4-mile natural surface trail on property owned by the university, is open to hikers, bikers, equestrians, and provides connectivity to over 40 miles of trails at Carvin's Cove and the Appalachian National Scenic Trail. The Hollins Area Plan and the Hollins Center Plan serve as long-range planning studies incorporating public outreach and community engagement to set the foundation for future development opportunities. Hollins University has played a vital role in these plans. We value the university's continued participation in future opportunities that will enhance outdoor recreation and support economic development and tourism, not only in the Hollins community, but also in the Roanoke Valley region. Roanoke County is proud of our long, outstanding partnership with Hollins University and support from all of its past presidents. We look forward to developing a strong relationship with Dr. Mary Dana Hinton as she begins her tenure here at Hollins. With that said, our congratulations to Dr. Hinton on her inauguration as the 13th president of Hollins University. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Let me move the mic up just a little bit here. I am Sherman Lee. I'm the mayor of the city, the 7-time All-American city of Roanoke, Virginia. And I'm joined by my vice mayor, Trish White Board. And we're here to present a proclamation to President Mary Dana Hinton. So I'd like to see you this morning. The proclamation from the mayor's office reads as follows. Whereas Dr. Mary Dana Hinton will be officially inaugurated as president of Hollins University on Friday, April 22nd, 2022, becoming the 13th president in Hollins University's 180-year history. Dr. Hinton is an active and respected proponent of the liberal arts and inclusion. Her leadership reflects a deep and abiding commitment to educational equity and the education of women. Whereas Dr. Hinton leads with a focus on higher education leadership, strategic planning, the role of education in peace building, African American religious history, and inclusion in higher education, and is the author of The Commercial Church, Black Churches and the New Religious Marketplace in America. She is a frequent op-ed contributor across higher education publications. Whereas using her foundational experiences, which have shaped her powerful core commitment in forging and championing pathways for all students. Dr. Hinton is dedicated to academic excellence and personal achievement in mind, body, and spirit. And whereas Dr. Hinton is a higher education leader committed to educational equity and the education of women for Hollins University community of students, faculty, and staff, and advocates for an engaged, rich, and high-impact undergraduate experience. Now, therefore, I, Sherman P. Lee, Sr., Mayor of the City of Roanoke, Virginia, do hereby welcome and honor as President Dr. Mary Dana Hinton, and we look forward to a long and productive partnership benefiting the citizens of our region. Thank you, Dr. Hinton. And we have a gift that I will ask our Vice Mayor Trish Rice Board to come and present to you.
Dr. Hinton, you've heard the proclamation from the city of Roanoke, and with it, many, many, many accolades. It says you are nothing but stellar. I mean, you are amazing. I thought Joe was going to take part of my line, but you are a shining star. You shine bright in this valley, and on behalf of the mayor, my colleagues, the Star City of the South, we present to you this star, you bright star.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, students, faculty, alumni, trustees, and esteemed guests. As a graduate of the class of 1968, it is an honor and delight to be here today with you and to bring official greetings from our Commonwealth as we celebrate the inauguration of Dr. Mary Dana Hinton as Hollins' 13th president. For 180 years, Hollins has educated women to engage, work, and serve in our Commonwealth, the nation, and the world. Hollins women have distinguished themselves in all venues, and they have been trailblazers. I know that this tradition continues, as I currently host an annual J-term intern at the General Assembly. Hollins students are eager and curious leaders with a passion for learning, for exploration, and achievement. This is why I am so excited for Dr. Hinton's leadership. Her passion and dedication to liberal arts, belonging, equity, and inclusion will help lead our beloved Hollins to even greater heights. Congratulations to Dr. Hinton. Thank you so much for having me with you on this wonderful and most special occasion.
Thank you so much. We will now have two choral selections from our Hollins University singers.
I am so grateful for the opportunity to participate in this celebration of Hollins' 13th president, Dr. Mary Dana Hinton. Frankly, when President Hinton asked me to introduce today's speaker, I jumped at the chance. I am thrilled to introduce my friend, Marjorie Haas, one of the most respected leaders in higher education, on the happy occasion of the inauguration of another highly respected leader in American higher education, Mary Hinton. I first met Dr. Haas several years ago when she and I were both serving on the board of the Council of Independent Colleges. It was hard to miss this dynamic woman whose presence you felt the moment she entered the boardroom. Clearly, she was a person of wit, wisdom, and consequence. As we exchanged social pleasantries, I soon realized that the institutions we represented, Austin College, where Dr. Haas was then president, and Hollins, where I served as president at the time, had a major donor and benefactor in common, the late Robert Priddy. The son of a Hollins alumna, Mr. Priddy funded the renovation of Swannanoa Hall as a new home for creative writing at Hollins. I had heard about Marjorie Haas from Robert Priddy, and she had heard about Hollins from him. After exchanging Robert Priddy stories, and you hear her laughing, Marjorie and I both realized that he had put us through very similar drills about the challenges and opportunities facing small independent colleges and universities, delivered with a wicked sense of humor that kept us on our toes. It soon became apparent to me that if this woman was our competition for Mr. Pretty's support, I needed to up my game. Despite our stance as competitors, I grew to have the greatest respect for Marjorie Haas. A graduate of the University of Illinois, where she earned her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, Dr. Haas has had a distinguished career. For 16 years, she served on the faculty of the philosophy department at Muhlenberg College, where she then served as provost. She went on to serve as president of Austin College and then most recently as president of Rhodes. Last July, she assumed the presidency of the College of Independent Colleges, the Council of Independent Colleges, where she is serving as the first woman president in its 65-year history. The author of a new book on women's leadership and the mentor to many rising leaders in higher education, I am confident President Haas will do great things for our colleges and aspiring college and university leaders. President Haas is an energetic, strong advocate for independent higher education who wants our colleges and universities to soar, just as Hollins will, with President Hinton leading the way. Please join me in welcoming Marjorie Haas.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It was pretty awe-inspiring to be sitting between Nancy Gray and Mary Dana Hinton. A little fangirl crush on both of them. Trustees, faculty, staff, students, honored guests, it is a joy and a true honor and privilege to celebrate with you this morning the inauguration of Mary Dana Hinton as the 13th president of Hollins University. Is certainly a momentous day for this campus and community, but it is also momentous for all of higher education. Hollins has a storied history of devotion to the intellectual progress of women, a commitment to creativity, self-expression, problem solving, and, as I've learned today, to very beautifully and meaningfully decorated robes. Hollins is also part of several networks and associations, including the Council of Independent Colleges, where it is one of more than 675 sister institutions here in this country and abroad, each devoted to student-centered, relationship-driven liberal arts education. And many of our colleagues who lead those institutions are here today. Together, we educate more than 2 million students every year. We educate them one by one on 675 unique campuses, each with unique cultures and missions. Individually, we may be kind of small, but collectively, we are a mighty part of the broader higher education ecosystem and a boon to the cultural, political, and economic success of this country and the world. Hollins University is a special example of why our sector matters. Beyond degrees and career preparation, a Hollins education aims at the spirit. Here, students are helped to see that their insights, their words, their actions matter. Hollins cultivates habits of mind, such as humility, consistency, compassion, and respect. I think these habits grow best in communities of care, where you're known and challenged and pushed and loved. Communities where learning occurs amidst relationships and togetherness. Communities where your assumptions are tested your failures are noted, and your successes celebrated. Communities where everyone has a seat at the table, a table where differences abound, yet the commitment to remaining in dialogue is firm. Hollins is this kind of community, and each of you, everyone in this room, has participated in the hard work required to build and sustain it. The past 2 years, a time of pandemic, racial reckoning, truth decay, economic uncertainty, and now war, have highlighted the challenges universities like Hollins face. But these past few years are only part of the story. Humanity itself is in the midst of great cultural and historic change as we adopt and adapt to revolutionary developments in technology, as we strive to make the promises of democracy and economic growth truly available to a diverse citizenry, and as we grapple with the fragility of our planet and its life-sustaining ecosystem. The liberal arts colleges and universities that thrive will be the ones that tackle these competing pressures head on, the ones that protect and expand student-centered learning grounded in free inquiry and responsive to a diverse population of democratic citizens, the ones that understand the changing nature of work and public life, the ones that build a culture of inclusive excellence and find real solutions to affordability and access. The work ahead will not be easy. We will need leaders who, like Mary, can lead us with courage and grace. We're used to seeking out courage in our leaders, but we too often miss the mark. I think that's because we confuse courage sometimes with recklessness or arrogance. So we wind up with leaders who talk a big game but aren't willing to put themselves on the line. The leaders that embody real courage are the ones who not only speak truth, but listen to it. They're the ones who stand up when called and sit down when the waters do not need stirring. They lead on behalf of principles and persons. Courageous doesn't mean fearless. There's no need for courage if the stakes aren't high and the risks aren't real. I have learned a lot about courageous leadership from my friend Mary, and her impact and her courage have already made an impact on Hollins and higher education more broadly. I marvel too at Mary's grace. We're less used to seeking out gracefulness in our leaders. Perhaps it's because when we think of grace, we sometimes reduce it to merely a type of style. And the word does refer to elegance, refinement, and a kind of feminine ability to make ordinary actions into things of beauty. Gracefulness was the special charm of the three graces, those sister goddesses of Greek mythology, Euphrosyne, Aglaia, probably the Greek scholars in the room will correct me, Aglaia and Thalia. In song and art, there they are. Lovely women busy dancing and helping Aphrodite emerge from a clamshell. Like most of the women represented in Western art, they are usually painted by men, shown nude, and sporting whatever embodied form was most attractive to the artist's male audience at the time. There is nothing wrong with gracefulness as an aesthetic style. But it is hard to see these painted ladies as models of leadership until we wrest them out of those patriarchal portraits and see in them a way of transforming ho-hum dailiness into something special and maybe even holy. When we look at these graces in their full glory, we see their real virtues. Virtues that draw on feminine energy to wield power and thereby make positive change. What does grace encourage us to do? To grace a situation with our presence and thereby confer honor on its actors. To provide a period of grace, a grace period, in which others can fix something or make it right without fear of punishment. to say grace, and in so doing, to lift up words of appreciation for even the most ordinary of meals and gifts. The graceful leader shines her light on the things that matter. She makes space for others to shine, to make good, and to make a gift of themselves. Everyone has a place at her table. She finds the best in us, and she inspires us to give each other the benefit of the doubt and to give others more than they are strictly due. Her beauty comes from her actions as she offers grace to others and teaches us to both offer it and receive it. As with courage, grace is desperately needed on our campuses and in our larger world. How fortunate we are to have Mary as our model, our friend, our leader. You have my deepest personal congratulations and the warm wishes of the full membership of the Council of Independent Colleges. I was so touched to learn that your college motto is Levavi Oculus, lift your eyes, from the 121st Psalm, which we just heard so beautifully sung in English. And I will end with these beautiful words and blessings in honor of Mary, her family, and the entire Hollins community. And I will say them in the words of my tradition in Hebrew, in which they were originally written. I noticed we had a Buddhist touch with Thich Nhat Hanh's lyrics or words, and we've heard them in Latin and English as well. Esayeni el hacharim me'ayin yavo Ezri, Ezri ma'im Adonai, osei shamayim va'eretz. I lift my eyes to the mountain. From where will my help come? My help is from Adonai, the maker of heaven and earth. May the sun befriend you in the daytime and the moon at night. May you be guarded from all evil. May you be protected in your comings and your goings today and every day. Amen. Thank you.
Well, that is Mary Dana Hinton, grace personified. Thank you, Marjorie. I now invite class of 2012 Hollins alumna and New York Metropolitan Opera soprano soloist Helena Brown, who also has won a Grammy, to offer a selection for us. I'm delighted that we now have a special video presentation from President Hinton from Pulitzer Prize winner and former two-time poet laureate Natasha Trethewey, professor of English at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, and a current member of the Hollins Board of Trustees.
Greetings to you all. It is said that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. I know this is true of Mary Dana Hinton and her beloved late mother, Susie Hinton, a woman who worked for years as a domestic in order to provide her daughter the scaffolding upon which this distinguished career we are honoring today at this inauguration was built. Fierce love, hard work, resilience. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote, "I shirk not, I long for work, I pant for a life full of striving." The result of such striving, Susie Hinton's and her daughters, is manifest in this moment, and I'd like to honor President Hinton by honoring and remembering her mother with this poem, Domestic Work. All week she's cleaned someone else's house, stared down her own face in the shine of copper-bottom pots, polished wood, toilets she pulled a lid to, that look saying, "Let's make a change, girl." But Sunday mornings are hers, church clothes starched and hanging, a record spinning on the console, the whole house dancing. She raises the shades, washes the rooms in white buckets of water, octagon soap. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Windows and doors flung wide, curtains two-stepping forward and back, neck bones bumping in the pot, a choir of clothes clapping on the line. Nearer, my God, to thee. She beats time on the rugs, blows dust from the broom, like dandelion spores, each one a wish for something better. President Hinton, you are the culmination of that wish for something better. With your work and the person you are, you honor us, and you make the ancestors proud. Congratulations on this day.
Good morning. When the nation and the world, as well as our campus, were in the throes of COVID-19, a pandemic of inequality and injustice, and one of economic disparity, she entered our world, bringing light and love into the chaos, causing us to believe in destiny. With the poise and precision of a strategic thinker, she held listening conferences, giving voice to the voiceless and hope to those who had grown weary of believing that change would ever come. With a heart for inclusion, she is leading the charge to transform our campus into an environment that is truly diverse, inclusive, and just. She guided the development of the culture of care, enabling the campus to successfully navigate the COVID-19 pandemic and move forward, even as Delta and Omicron raise their ugly heads. Creating a culture of care flows naturally out of who she is. She cares deeply about others, and it shows as she walks on the campus, speaking to everyone, many by name, opening her home for cookies and ice cream, and conducting community office hours for students to come by and just talk. As a woman of vision, she has given us the courage to imagine more and raised nearly $10 million to support the dreams of faculty and staff, inspiring anonymous alum to give Hollins a $75 million gift. She is an extraordinary woman, a woman of excellence, an esteemed educator, an astute administrator who masters everything she attempts, amazing those who work for and with her. She is brilliant and beautiful and sugar sharp every time we see her. She is warm and witty, loving and kind, a woman of faith and fortitude. With all that she has accomplished, she remains humble and approachable. You know her. She's the wife of Robert Williams, the mother of Hallel, and Hosanna. She's a daughter, a niece, a sister, and a friend. She is the 13th president of Hollins University, the first African-American to be president of our beloved Hollins University. I present to you Dr. Mary Dana Hinton.
May I ask the co-chairs of the Presidential Search Committee to come forward for the investiture ceremony?
We now turn to the formal investiture. The Board of Trustees has no more important duty than selecting the leader of the university, and we are simply thrilled that you have accepted the invitation to lead our Hollins. Mary, please repeat after me. I do solemnly pledge.
I do solemnly pledge
To serve this institution faithfully, impartially, and justly.
to serve this institution faithfully, impartially, and justly,
And to perform the duties of the office of president to the best of my ability.
and to perform the duties of the office of president with the best of my abilities.
I pledge to work steadfastly
I pledge to work steadfastly
with humanity and humility and courage
with humanity and humility and courage
to advance Hollins in the years ahead.
to advance Hollins in the years ahead.
On behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, Debbie Mead and I are so honored formally to install you, Mary Dana Hinton, as the 13th president of Hollins University.
What an amazing celebration
of the Hollins University community. And good morning to family and friends, alumni, students, and beloved colleagues. To those who are here with us in person and those who are joining from far away, I greet you with love and with joy. Thank you for sharing this incredible day with me. And it is indeed an incredible honor to be with you today. This moment could not, would not have happened without the work of many hands. And I extend my most heartfelt gratitude to every person who contributed to this day. I want to thank the Hollins University Board of Trustees who insisted that this day was needed and possible. And I invite you and our beloved board chair, Alex Trower, to stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the Hollins faculty and staff whom I met in your homes, and you met me in mine. Judith, you are right. I am so grateful that each of you are sharing this moment as we have shared so many moments over the past 2 years. I see you. I see you with my own eyes, and I am grateful for you. To my Hollins students, Lord have mercy, you have always shown up in magnificent fashion. You are amazing, and you make me the proudest president in all the land. I am so grateful to my presidential colleagues and dignitaries and distinguished guests and alumni who made time for this event today. To my Minnesota family and friends who were with me, you raised me as a president, and you have stood by me, and I am thankful for you. My Hollins cabinet and one aforementioned Betsy Casaboon have taken my hand and lead with me today. And words cannot describe my gratitude to you. Your compassion and care for this place often brings me to tears. To everyone who has shared a word or a song today, I thank you for speaking to the deepest parts of my spirit. Marjorie, you have shared many gifts with me, the greatest of which comes from Esther 4:14, and I will return to that shortly. Thank you to the Inauguration Committee who worked tirelessly to create this special day and who were patient with me at my most recalcitrant. I want to ask you to join me in especially thanking Shion Baker and Megan Canfield. There they are. I want you to know that they are the extraordinary planners behind every good thing this day. Thank you to my cousins, my sisters, my family, and my friends who traveled from near and far to celebrate, with a very special thank you to Robert, Halela, Hillel, and Hosanna. Without them, there is no President Hinton. Without them, there truly is no me. Thank you. So friends, as we embrace this space, this moment that we have been sharing, I have but one request. Open your heart and be truly present and mindful in this moment. Do not just hear my words, but allow our souls to connect. And whether it's the air, moon, wind, or sea that calls you, whether it's one of the many names of God, whether it's what rests in you alone, I ask you to summon that thing that breaks open your spirit and allow it to work within you as I speak. Because without that connection, without that acceptance of who we are as we are, the words become meaningless. So please open your hearts with me. As I prepared for this day, I spent a great deal of time thinking about imagination. What does it mean? How does the imagination differ from my propensity to ask, what if? Why has my soul been proclaiming this word so loudly, so intently, so insistently since I arrived at Hollins? Why is the world of the imagination beckoning me? Now, to be clear, I know what imagination means. The dictionary defines it as the faculty or action of forming new ideas, images, or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. It is the ability of the mind to be creative or resourceful. And while these definitions are technically correct, they only begin to brush against this intense calling towards imagination that I have been feeling. A calling I have been aware of my whole life, a calling that is a rekindled flame in my soul. I began fueling my imagination when I was young. The imaginings born in poverty are big and bold. Indeed, as Wendell Berry said, you have to be able to imagine lives that are not yours. And this is what you do when faced with equal parts poverty and ambition. Imagination is kindled in unsuspecting moment, in quiet places and in deep rituals. You see, my imagination was born in the dust mites of Saturday morning rug cleanings that Natasha Trethewey spoke of. My imagination was born in my mother's big, strong hands, hands which she often seemed embarrassed about, but hands that nurtured her children and many lives beyond. Her brilliance unwanted and unrecognized by a world cast against her. She had a mind and hands that far exceeded what the world imagined for her. My imagination was also born in my father, who imagined me, someone he called Pumpkin, attending a university. Though he was born only a few decades after enslavement ended, he imagined his daughters going to college and doing many incredible things. He prayed for that for us. My imagination was born in the gracious home of the Cooper family, a family whose copper pots reflected my mother's face, but whose big hearts and radical kindness shifted the trajectory of my life by providing the resources and support to allow my imagination to breathe. My imagination was born in a kitchen with Lori Hetherington, my undergraduate advisor, who is with me on this day. Lori encouraged me to just be me in a world that seemed to want me to be someone else. And I thank you, Lori. It was born in a rocking chair with Sister Jean Massaros and the Sisters of Mercy. It was born in the Conversatio of the Dominican Sisters. It was nurtured and stoked and encouraged and deeply loved by the Benedictine Sisters in St. Joseph, Minnesota. It swam in the fount of Sacred Heart Chapel. You see, robust imagination is not just the territory of children. It is not the stuff of make-believe. Imagination is the innermost profound work of thinking about life through an unexplored lens, of looking at one's circumstances and being able to conceive something different, something more. Imagination is conscious work. intimate work, draining work, vulnerable work, work that can lead to beautiful things like today. And my mother would have loved this day. But it's work that can lead to grievous disappointment when left unsupported and unrealized. And all too often, imaginings are left unexplored, not due to any failure of the beholder, but due to a society set up to question, deny, and defer the imagination. And yet I stand before you today, not because I'm any smarter than others or better than others. I stand before you today because I had the great good fortune of being able to receive an education that unleashed my imagination. My will for that education was a result of imagining something different. I imagined freedom. I imagined opportunity. I imagined unconditional love. And it was a liberal arts education that unlocked those imaginings for me. To me, the examination and manifestation of imaginings is what education is all about. So let us imagine a community of learning. Now, as I mentioned, I have had a visceral urgency around imagination that has intensified here at Hollins, an urgency to think about, talk about, observe, and foster imagining. Perhaps I should describe it as a longing. It is a longing that wraps itself around my deep and abiding love of the liberal arts, even as it causes me to examine that beloved way of learning and of life. You see, it was in this academic community, at the intersection of the imagination and the liberal arts, that I also began to ponder the moral imagination. Now, there are many definitions of moral imagination, but one could pose that it is the creative energy and effort to understand or visualize the struggle of another, and to then harness the effort to bring to fruition the needs or imaginings of another. I would probably simplify it even further, perhaps you would say too far, by saying it is seeing, valuing, and supporting the human potential of another. But if you permit me to take one more simplifying step, I will argue that liberal arts education is the work, the action, if you will, of the moral imagination. Now, before you email me, let me tell you that I know this is not how the liberal arts are generally defined. I know that some want to return to the trivium and quadrivium and say that is the authentic liberal arts, that the liberal arts are for those who breathe the most rarefied of air, that to examine the big questions of life should be left to those for whom it is their legacy. I have heard too many people say today's students, students of color, low-income students, first-generation students, questioning students, and if I may remind you, they said it once upon a time about women, are better suited for professional training or vocational training. But I would argue that limiting learning and circumscribing how we think about education and who has access to it is a failure of imagination. That to shroud oneself in exclusion in the name of the liberal arts is to fundamentally misunderstand and misappropriate that very thing we claim to love. Thank you. You see, the liberal arts are for those whose minds imagine freedom. those whose minds imagine something different, who imagine something more. A liberal arts education is a call to imagine for the sake of creating and transforming self, creating and transforming community, and creating and transforming the world around us. You see, it is the wandering imagination that discerns cures for disease. It is the wondering imagination that asks how we can reimagine learning to truly democratize excellent education. It is the unwavering imagination that chooses to break down barriers and develop structures of access and success. It is the willful imagination that refuses to be yoked to the past and courageously sojourns forward toward a future it determines for itself, a future wherein all can and will have access to education. So when I ask this community, this Hollins community, to imagine with me, I am asking that we do the work of liberal arts education creatively, with multiple perspectives at play, always centering the human experiences of those we encounter. I am asking that you believe that the essence of the liberal arts, the freeing of minds, also demands the freeing and nurturing of imagination. And that's not only our students' imaginations, my faculty and staff friends, but the imagination of each of us, unconstrained by title or by task. In fact, this notion of imagination is in many ways baked into the very fabric of Hollins. Our motto, which you've all heard, Levavi Oculos, is a reflection on the power of the mind. Levavi Oculos, which means lift up thine eyes, signals there's something there to guide you, that the action of simply looking up for more will yield result, that it will free our imagination and effort. In fact, in the first year of my presidency, Hollins faculty and staff embarked on an effort rooted in our imagination. And while the goal of the Imagination Campaign is mission-aligned, revenue-generating, culture-building projects, the great joy of the Imagination Campaign for me is that it is an intentional effort of collective imagination. It held no barriers to participation. Rather, it demonstrated the power and importance of learning, thinking, and creating a vision together as a community. Even more, the Imagination Campaign allows us, by bringing our full selves to the effort, to be co-creators of our own future. So when I ask this community, this Hollins community, to imagine with me, I ask that we live into our institutional calling to imagine more, to trust that the very act of lifting our eyes, along with our wandering, wondering, unwavering, and willful imaginations, will yield the very best of the liberal arts. And while this is essential, let us not pretend it will be easy. You see, even as we begin to imagine, we begin to experience the burden of imagination. And it can be a burden, not only because it runs the risk of disappointment, which it does, but because an imagination demands that you encounter ideas, people, places, and difficulties that may have heretofore been unexplored. For example, the year I was born, Hollins graduated its first Black student, Cecilia Long, a woman with whom I am honored to share this day. I I do not know what she imagined or that she imagined this moment when she was a young woman driving through the gates of Hollins. When I hear the stories of her contemporaries, women like Cynthia and Salome, I know that my standing before you may have felt unimaginable, perhaps even impossible. It may even have felt very unlikely to more recent alums like Antoinette Savon and others. To be honest, I don't know that in the narrow passages of my life in Kittrell, North Carolina, that I imagined this moment either. But perhaps Cecilia and I share an instinct. We both dared to imagine something, not recognizing the path that those initial glimmers would set us on, nor the toll that imagining can take. You see, sometimes the price for imagining is success, and that success means being the first. I know what it is to feel the burden of being the unimaginable first, the burden of being doubted, the burden of being perceived as less than, the burden of the call to do more, the burden of a world telling you you are not enough. So under the weight of imagination and burden, how did we get to this day? Well, it was active work towards justice and equity that allowed us to arrive here. It was opening education to all and demanding equal access. It was the tireless work of imagination. And justice and equity remain constitutive to the work ahead for us at Hollins. That is the just call of education and democracy. And at Hollins, we must ensure that every student has the opportunity to be successful. We must rebuke the perpetuation of inequity. But that is the exhausting work of imagination. And yet it's the justice work of imagination. And I will say it is the joyful work of imagination. You see, when I hug a student and offer encouragement, or see tears in the eyes of an alumna, or greet Joe at 7 a.m., I find a powerful reminder of the joy one can feel when one answers the call and imaginings are realized. Because in addition to the burden, there is also joy in being first. There is joy in supporting others because you and they are, in fact, enough. There is joy in taking those initial steps despite so many steps ahead. So know that the work of imagination, which includes the work of justice, is fraught, but it is also joyful. And Hollins must do this joyful work. I mentioned earlier that Marjorie's great gift to me was returning my attention to Esther 4:14. Marjorie is also an unimaginable first, and she has spoken about this verse found in the Torah and the Old Testament and how it beckons her. And it's also a text that calls me to free my imagination and accept the call of this work. This verse concludes with a question posed to Queen Esther. Now, Queen Esther was navigating the challenges of leadership and feeling conflicted about her role. And the question that was asked or posed to her was, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Well, allow me to ask, who but you, friends, are called to imagine with me. Who but you, friends, are called to protect and proclaim the liberal arts for all? Who but you, friends, must press for justice to find joy? Who but you, friends, are called for such a time as this? So if you choose to take up the mantle of imagination with me, the work of learning and crafting justice and joy, we need to find the peace, the courage, and the compassion to sustain ourselves and one another in this work. So allow me to conclude with my favorite topic, the topic of love and belonging. You see, we are most free to imagine when we are in a community where we are loved and where we belong. And we must acknowledge that full love and belonging, sadly for some, exist only within their imaginations and hopes for the future. For some, the world has told you, you are not worthy of love. You are not worthy of the liberal arts. You are not worthy of justice. You are not worthy. So we must together change that narrative within ourselves, on this campus, and in the world beyond. Colin Wilson wrote, "Imagination should be used not to escape reality, but to create it." So we will conclude by imagining together. Imagine all you need to love and be loved is within your beating heart, your beaming smile, and your talented mind. Imagine your smile, your joy, and your confidence are as real and powerful as your hurt, pain, sadness, and doubt. Imagine your ambition is matched only by your grace. Your strength is matched only by your vulnerability. And your fear is matched only by the courage in your heart. Imagine that every despite becomes a because. You are great not despite your past, but because of your past. You belong not despite who you are, but because of who you are. You are loved not despite your identity, but because of your identity. Imagine you found your worth and you treasured it like new life, fragile, resilient, demanding of your protection and care. Imagine that as this pandemic storm begins to pass, there we are, holding one another's hands, new and yet familiar bonds, catching our breath because we see the dawn of a new day, a day filled with learning, justice, joy, belonging, and love. And imagine that we never forget this moment when in this hushed silence, we hear our future gently being called forth from all that we have shared in our past, the beauty and the pain. And the world whispers to us softly, gently, quietly, imagine you belong. Imagine you are enough. Imagine you are loved. and you imagine all these things because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And may you come forth this day to embrace everything you imagine with hope, purpose, and joy. Levavi Oculos.
Thank you, Mary, for those beautiful and moving words. We will now close our ceremony with another wonderful selection from Helena Brown, followed by the benediction from Chaplain Katina Martin.
President Hinton, congratulations. And thank you for saying yes. Please stand. A couple of housekeeping items. We would ask that you remain in place at your seat while our president, esteemed delegates, distinguished faculty, and students recess. Groups that seek photos with President Hinton may meet on the steps of the Koch building in 10 minutes. Our benediction. God, divine faith, and author of love among us, you who have sustained this institution to see its 13th president, we thank you. Breathe within us gratitude, hope, and all that is good. May renewed spirit rest upon President Mary Dana Hinton and upon every part of the Hollins University community, trustees, cabinet members, alumni, faculty, staff, students, every part, as we move forward with vigor, honoring one another, esteeming one another, and calling for all of the resources we need for success. May unity rise among us in the deepest places of unrest. May we let love and peace abound. And as you go, may all the graces, favor, and blessings, all that you need, be yours. May it be so. Amen.